My name is Emily Carson. I live in a quiet suburb in Pennsylvania where every house has a manicured lawn, friendly neighbors, and the illusion of perfect tranquility. I was 28 at the time, recently divorced, and trying to rebuild my life with as much dignity and peace as I could muster. I had moved into this neighborhood just 3 months ago, looking for a fresh start. At first, everything seemed normal. The neighbors were polite, occasionally waving when I passed by. I kept to myself mostly, spending time working remotely for a design firm and tending to my small garden. It was the kind of routine I needed, simple, quiet, and safe. Or so I thought. About 2 weeks after moving in, I started to get the strange feeling that someone was watching me. I couldn't explain it. It was just a weird tension in the air when I'd walk from my kitchen to my living room, or when I'd sit on the porch reading in the late afternoon sun. I chalked it up to paranoia. I told myself it was just my imagination running wild after the emotional whirlwind of the divorce. But then, I saw him. It was a Tuesday night and the weather was unusually warm. I had my windows open, the curtains half drawn. I was watching a movie on the couch when I noticed something out of the corner of my eye, a shadow near the bushes by the fence. At first, I froze. My heart pounded. I turned down the volume and got up slowly, walking toward the window. That's when I saw him clearly. A man, standing behind the hedge, crouched low, his eyes fixed right at my living room. My breath caught in my throat. He wasn't just passing by. He was watching me. I dropped to the floor instinctively and crawled away from the window. I reached for my phone with shaking hands and dialed 911, whispering as I gave them my address. The operator told me to stay calm and that officers were on their way. By the time the police arrived, the man was gone. They looked around the property, asked a few questions, and took my statement. I didn't have a clear description, just that he was average build, maybe mid-30s, wearing a hoodie. They told me to keep my doors locked and to call if I saw anything suspicious again. That night, I barely slept. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it was a one-time thing. Maybe it was a local troublemaker or a drifter passing through. Still, I installed extra locks, set up motion lights, and bought a few security cameras. It helped ease my anxiety a little until the footage came in. 3 nights later, I checked the camera feed from my backyard. At around 1:30 a.m., there he was again. Same hoodie, same crouch, same fixated stare, this time peeking into my bedroom window. I was horrified. I took the footage to the police, and they promised to open an investigation. They even had patrol cars pass by the area more frequently. But without a clear face or any identifying marks, they couldn't do much. I started to feel like a prisoner in my own home, constantly peeking out the windows and avoiding walking around after dark. A week passed with no sightings. Then something even more unexpected happened. A man named Daniel Wright moved into the house next door. Daniel was in his early 30s, with sandy brown hair, kind eyes, and an easy smile. He introduced himself the day he moved in, bringing over a small box of cookies and a warm welcome. I hesitated to trust him at first, given everything I'd been through. But something about him felt sincere. Over the next few days, we'd chat occasionally. He'd ask how my day was, or if I needed help carrying groceries. Slowly, I started to feel a little less anxious. His presence next door made the nights feel less lonely. One evening, he stopped by to bring me some mail that had accidentally landed in his box. As he handed it to me, he hesitated. "Emily," he said cautiously, "I don't want to alarm you, but I think someone's been watching your house." I froze. "You've seen him too?" He nodded. "A couple of nights ago, I noticed a figure in the backyard. At first, I thought it might be a raccoon or something, but then I saw him crouch by your fence. I tried to go after him, but he ran off before I could get a good look." My heart was racing. I wasn't crazy after all. Daniel offered to help me set up a better security system. He installed floodlights, repositioned the cameras, and even set up an alert system that notified both of us if anything triggered the sensors. Days turned into weeks, and for a while, there was no sign of the man. I started to breathe again. Daniel and I grew closer. He'd come over for coffee, or dinner sometimes. His calm presence was like a balm to my frayed nerves. I even began to trust again, a feeling I thought I had lost forever. Then everything changed again. One night, Daniel and I were reviewing the latest camera footage when something strange caught our attention. It wasn't a man outside, it was the footage itself. There were segments missing, small chunks of time deleted, like someone had tampered with the system. Daniel looked at me, his face pale. This doesn't make sense. I secured everything. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. What if it's not an outsider? I whispered. What if it's someone who knows the system? Daniel frowned. Like me? I recoiled slightly. The air turned cold between us. I began, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Daniel looked hurt but calm. Emily, I understand. You've been through a lot. But I would never do anything to hurt you. He left shortly after, saying he needed to clear his head. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind was torn between the growing fear and my gut instinct to trust him. Then, at around 3 a.m., the motion sensor pinged. I opened the app on my phone and watched in horror as the same figure appeared at my back window. Only this time, he wasn't alone. Another person was with him. They spoke briefly, and then the first man pulled off his hoodie. It wasn't Daniel. It was someone else entirely, someone I'd never seen before. But the second person? That one made my blood run cold. It was Jason, my ex-husband. He had always been possessive, jealous, and borderline obsessive. The divorce had been messy, and I had cut off all contact for my own safety. I had even moved towns to get away from him. And now he was back, spying on me, stalking me. I called the police again and handed over the footage. This time they had a face, and they took it seriously. A warrant was issued for Jason's arrest. He was picked up 2 days later in a neighboring city. His accomplice, an old friend of his, was also arrested. I found out later that Jason had tracked me down using an old email account I forgot to deactivate. He had been watching me since I moved in, even before I noticed. The missing footage had been his doing. He had hacked the system using a remote backdoor he installed during one of his break-ins. In the aftermath, I felt violated and shaken. But I wasn't alone. Daniel stood by me. Even after I doubted him, even after all the chaos, he was there. He helped me through the court process, stayed up with me during sleepless nights, and reminded me what it felt like to be safe. Months passed. Jason was sentenced to prison and a restraining order was put in place. I upgraded my security again, moved to a new house, this time with someone I trusted. Daniel and I started dating officially. And while the beginning of our story was wrapped in fear and mystery, what came after was something I never thought I'd find again: peace, trust, and a second chance at love.